You're both part of a very small number of Americans who've actually been inside Gaza. What is your message to Americans that we need to understand about this? It's a very poorly covered war in terms of the humanitarian catastrophe, I would say overall. But what don't we know here that, or what do we need to understand here as Americans and the United States role in this?
I think what I would say is, we're physicians, Miles and I are at least, and there have been other healthcare workers like nurses and paramedics. But as physicians, we are bringing back data. This is data. This is facts. We have no reason to bring back anything else. But I think what I would say is this is not about your political mindset. This is not about politics. This is not about whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. This is strictly about humanity. If something is wrong, it's wrong. I don't care which way you vote, but when there are innocent civilians being targeted and killed, and you can see that from the images that are brought back. You can see and decide for yourself. Are single shots to children constantly collateral damage? It's difficult to argue that. I have nothing. I have no ties to Palestine. I'm not Muslim. I'm not Palestinian. I don't have that. I have no reason to be on the side of anybody. But I am on the side of humanity. I am on the side of justice. And I think that because we're physicians, we are a very good source of objective information, especially given what we saw, and what we can do to compare to what we see in practice here. For example, the types of injuries, the patterns of injuries. All of us, and you can see that in the New York Times. They published our ages, which I was like, why are you publishing my age and aging me? But you can see all of us are seasoned in our particular fields. We didn't just graduate. We're not residents, and we didn't graduate becoming an attending last year. We practice in very high trauma cities, high volume cities. I trained and worked in Chicago. It's one of the most violent cities. I've seen gunshot wounds. So, we don't have this political agenda or propaganda that people, are accusing us of. And so I think that as physicians, we are probably the best people to be bringing this to the attention of Americans. And that's what Americans should see and try to understand is this is not political by any means.
I would add, a lot of people don't realize this, but whether a person goes over as a paid role as a doctor or a volunteer role, it's really hard to get these gigs. Like it's hard to find company. You have to be like the kind of like top in your field in general to be able to go volunteer over in these places too. So it's a lot of people don't even realize that side. It's like you have to be extraordinarily talented in your field to
Absolutely
even get over there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Myles, tell me, what is some stuff you saw that stood out to you as this isn't normal? This isn't normal warfare. This is stuff that, what's something that stood out to you or things that stood out to you?
I guess what was the hardest to understand was what seemed to me to be the indiscriminate nature of the destruction. There are cities that no longer exist, are piles of rubble. There's entire populations standing in a field, maybe under a tent, maybe not, that used to be families. There's schools that were maybe a 3 or 4 story school that are now 3 or 4 thicknesses of concrete high because they've collapsed. The degree of destruction is hard to describe, again, because I've never seen anything like it. And the indiscriminate nature of the attacks on Palestinians is also hard to wrap your mind around.